Okay, so you're in the market for a bigger car, maybe you need more seats, maybe you need more luggage space, and you come across this, which is the Mercedes-Benz GLS. And it delivers on all of that. Of course, it has more seats, massive storage on the inside, and of course has all of the tech that Mercedes-Benz have to offer. But is it too much? And can you live with it day to day? Well, let's find out in today's video, which is my review of the Mercedes-Benz GLS 2024. Now there's no getting around it, this is a big car. Even just looking at the wheels on this particular car, they are 23 inches, which is mad. I think my car's just 18 inches, so yeah, a bit of a size difference. Even looking at the grille and even the Mercedes-Benz badge in the middle, I think that's even bigger than their smaller SUV, the GLE. I think this is one of the largest Mercedes-Benz badges they've probably put on a car. Rightly so, it's a bigger car, so everything is just supersized. Now in comparison to Mercedes-Benz GLE, I'll throw the stats up on screen so you can kind of see the differences between the two. The GLE is the smaller one compared to this one, and then the Mercedes-Benz GLS, which of course is this one, is the larger one. And they are very, very similar. The only difference really is kind of at the back, where it's just a little bit more extended, and everyone just has that little bit extra space on the inside, and of course it being a 7-seater as well. Now, one good thing, of course, being a GLS, Mercedes-Benz have lots of different models in their range, and one of them is called the S-Class. Now, the S-Class is Mercedes-Benz's kind of flagship luxury car, and of course, this being GLS, this has lots of S-Class attributes on the inside. So you can expect the full package on the Mercedes-Benz in this one. They even do offer another one as well called the Mercedes Maybach or Maybach, depending on how you want to pronounce it. And yeah, the prices can go sky high. Let's cover price on this one. Because it's got the S letter in the model name, you know it's going to be up there in terms of price. And these start at about £108,000 and kind of go up from there. It does depend on the trims and packages that you go for. Now, Mercedes-Benz do make it quite easy for the UK market, for example. So Premium Plus is standard. And then there's also a thing called Business Class, which offers loads of extra things. And then if you want to go all out, there's also the Maybach or the Maybach, which goes up to about £207,000. So that is up there. Of course, that just kits the car out with even more first-class luxury materials and things that you would kind of expect from a Maybach or Maybach experience. I will add that the car I have here is actually a business class. Considering when this car was actually made, it technically still is the facelift, but the trims and packages will have changed. So some of those things won't be on this car, and instead I don't run through exact specs and packages because they always vary over time anyway. But that is what you can go for. There's of course AMG Line Premium Plus as standard, Business Class, or then the Maybach or the Maybach. Now for the GLS also, it does have running boards as well. Now to note, they are fixed, so they don't kind of retract away or anything like that. So obviously if you are going to kind of off-road this car or go across some kind of dirty roads, so to speak, in our lovely winters in the UK, obviously you just have to go careful of the back of your legs as you get out, because this could be caked in mud. However, they are extremely useful for reaching the top of the car to clean it, because yes, I did clean this yesterday. They are very, very useful for standing on, because they're obviously real running boards, of course, to actually clean the top of the car. So very, very useful. Just one thing to note, they don't fold in. Now, just before we jump onto the interior and go through all this tech and space, of course, on the inside, I just want to very quickly touch on the kind of body panels. Now, as I mentioned, this is basically just like a larger GLE that Mercedes-Benz offer, this bit kind of extended here. Traditionally, with SUVs, you would normally have kind of squared off kind of backs, and there's a lot more kind of angular lines. But what Mercedes-Benz have done on this is kind of make all the body panels really kind of curvy. So there aren't many kind of jagged edges or anything like that. Even the lights here, all kind of rounded and kind of going around that way, which I think actually suits it quite well, because I know a lot of people who basically would need a bigger car, you know, kind of a bit like this, but don't like that big kind of squared boxy look. But this kind of has those kind of curvy panels to compensate for that. Anyway, let's have a look at the massive boot in this one. Now, the boot on the Mercedes-Benz GLS is really, really cool. This is where we start to see some of this really cool tech and innovation that Mercedes-Benz have. If you take a Mercedes-Benz GLE, the next size down from this, it has a first row, a second row, and a third row. but the third row is manual. In this, everything is electric. So for example, the boot capacity you see here is 355 litres, which doesn't sound like much. Don't worry, it can expand. So if we remove the 7 seats and with one flick of a switch, they'll just fold down. It will even move the second row forward a little bit to make space for the angle for it to go down. Now you have more boot space, which is pretty cool. And if you want even more boot space, you can fold the second row down as well. So over here was 3L and 3R and a height adjustment for the back, so in case you have like something heavy to kind of lift in. Over here, we have an all button, which will fold all the seats down. But then there's also 2L and 2R. Again, it'll even move the front seats forward as well, the first row, to make space for it. But yeah, now these are going to go down just like this. And now you have up to about 2,400 litres of kind of boot capacity, and it'll even bring the seats back just to kind of finish it off and make it almost as flat as possible. There is even space under here as well. What is very cool, you know the kind of cover that goes across the boot? That can go into here as well, and it's just simple switches to fold the seats down, so that is pretty cool. I think now's the time to look at the third row, and then the second row, and then of course the front with even more tech than what we've seen at the back. Now to gain access to the third row, basically to the side of the headrests, which have a very nice cushion, don't worry, we'll get onto that in a minute, there is a switch. Now if you pull this, the whole seat will come completely out of the floor. And Mercedes-Benz tolerances, I promise to you, this won't touch. Told you. But yes, they've been programmed so they won't touch the screen at all, despite how close it is. But yeah. Now, actually getting into the back, there is actually mats in here, which is quite cool for the third row. Now, obviously, I will add, this is not for people of my kind of height. I'm 6'2" with very long legs. But in a pinch, it is doable, just. And the reason why I say that is because the second row seats, they do have electric seats where you can actually move them backwards and forwards. This is with it completely moved back, where there's virtually no legroom, and this is with it completely moved forward. And as well, look how kind of upright this is. So in the back here, for obvious reasons, it's not completely designed for adults like myself, but having said that, there is actually a decent enough sized legroom for, you know, the odd passenger that you might need to carry in the back, you know, kids and that sort of thing. I don't know what the height limit is, but obviously I'm a bit special because I've got really long legs. So these seats aren't for me, but they do have 2 USB-C ports here on the left-hand side with a cup holder. Another 2 USB-C ports over here on the right-hand side. So that's 4 USB-C ports in the back, and of course then the right-hand cup holder. And there's even vents as well in the ceiling on both sides. That's pretty cool. And then to get out, just a simple press and the whole seat goes up. Of course, you can do the same for this side as well. Now, of course, when that person is in here on the third row, it's then the second row's responsibility then to move these. So you move these back and adjust how much legroom they want from there. Now, of course, as I mentioned, that there is as far back as it goes, but of course you can adjust the backrest all from the door, and of course the whole seat folds backwards as well. So, with all that in mind, let's actually check out these seats right here. Now, when it comes to the second row seats, there is a lot of tech here, so bear with me for a minute. Now, legroom in this is incredible. That's set up for my driving position, and I've been driving around in that very, very comfortably. I'm 6'2" with very, very long legs. So, if I sit back in the seat properly, that's my legroom, which is really, really good. I mean, you would expect that for a car like this, so yeah, delivers on that easily. Height, headroom is really good as well, so again, that's really good. I have a slightly shorter body, but in some cars, of course, my hair can touch the ceiling, but yeah, you're not going to have that in this at all. I will add that the third row I have folded down just for this example, so those seats are flat currently, and these seats are like as far back as they go. Maybe adjust the backrest a little bit, and then of course you can do the whole seat forwards and backwards there as well, and just for context, that's as far forward as it goes. Of course, there is the backrest as well, but so that becomes a little bit uncomfortable. So that's the backrest as far back as it goes, but then the seat as far forward as it goes. My knees still are not touching the seat, so that's pretty good. But I will move that back now and make use of the gorgeous legroom. In the middle here, we have an MBUX rear tablet, of course, in addition to these screens. There's 2 USB-C ports here, so 2, 4, 6, 8 USB-C ports, and there's another connection down there, I'll go through that in a second. Wireless charging here. Comes with a Samsung tablet which is configured for the car and has MBUX stuff on it to do things in the car. So again, that's pretty cool. He just clamps in there and then folds away just like that. So again, just full of tech. Then you have these screens, and there's an on and off touch button there, and allows you to do all sorts of different things, from playing movies to sharing content from that screen over there to these to the tablet. They're all connected, which is quite cool. But yeah, this is part of the MBUX entertainment package, which I think I might have to do a separate video on. So guys, if you want to see that, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments. Speaking of, down here, those additional ports are HDMI ports. So yeah, there's 2 HDMI ports down there to connect a whole host of devices. As long as you can find power, there isn't like a plug socket in here, but if you can find a way to power a device, you can basically plug anything in that. Now, with the exception of power aside, I'm thinking Apple TV, Amazon Fire Sticks, PlayStation. That won't power off the car's internal electrics. You'd have to somehow find an inverter or power inverter or something. But I'm just saying that playing a game in the back here, Nintendo Switch maybe or something, that sounds really cool. I want that in my car. But then obviously I wouldn't be driving, so, but yeah, it just sounds extremely extravagant, super luxurious. So that's really cool. And as well, these screens, they can tilt, so you just move them up and down like this. So depending on the angle of where you are. Yeah, there's a lot of tech in the back, and ventilated seats and heated rear seats as well. So yeah, that's just all part of the luxury, I guess. Right, I think now's the time to have a look at the front screens and the kind of design up front. Now guys, when it comes to the front, that luxurious design continues, and everywhere you look, it's just a nice place to sit. Even driving here today, I'm just like, oh, this car's beautiful. Yes, I know it's extremely expensive, but considering, you know, it can comfortably sit, you know, up to 7 people, and you have all this tech everywhere, it's really good. Now, let's start on the design first. Now, I'm not a huge fan of this brown. It's the only thing I kind of dislike about the car, and it's this kind of brown kind of stuff. Handily though, if you do order a new one, I didn't see this brown anywhere now, so obviously this is again where specs change over time. I appreciate the wood effect, but I just don't like black and brown. I don't think it should ever go together, but my personal preference. There's all squidgy leather materials everywhere, and again, it's silent here when you're driving, which is, it's awesome. And this actually has airmatic air suspension, so it's very, very soft driving across the road, but we'll get on to more of that in a minute. Now, when it comes to everything else, well, let's go through them all. So we had the abundance of USB-C ports in the back. What was it? 2, 4, 6, 8 USB-C ports, 9, 10, 11, and a 12-volt socket. 11 USB-C ports. That's mad. And wireless charging up the front here as well. So that's ooh, we've got heated and cooled cup holders. That's cool. Then there's a touchpad here. So yes, I know a lot of Mercedes-Benz over the past few years have removed that touchpad, my own car included. But GLE and GLS, and I can't remember if the Marco Polo had it as well. I'm sure it did. Those cars do have the touchpad, apparently for ergonomic reasons, which I kind of do understand, because in a car like this, I mean, this is how I've been driving at the moment, you do have to lean forward to actually touch the screen. So having this here does make sense. I just wish they did kind of keep the touchpad, because it infuriates a lot of people, the fact they removed it. But anyway, topic for another day, it's here in this one. And this thing is a wrist rest. So you rest your wrist on there to control the touchpad. Climate control is all buttons, which is handy, so none of this touch stuff. You can control some elements on the screen up here. Each row can have their own climate control. So it's not even quad zone climate control, it's 5 zones. So I'm not even sure what the word is for that, but it's like 5, is it 5 zones? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5 zone climate control. I don't think I've come across a car that's got 5 zone climate control before. That's mad. Steering wheel is all touch buttons. Now I've got this pretty much same steering wheel on my car. I love it, and there are a few bits that I don't like about it. I love the design, it's beautiful, but it is all touch and there's no haptic feedback when you kind of swipe across stuff. You can hear it, but that's about it. You do get used to it. So I bought my car that has this exact same steering wheel. Sadly, it's not a Mercedes-Benz GLS, but it's kind of on the opposite end of Mercedes-Benz spectrum. But yeah, I do like the steering wheel. I love the design. I just wish it had like physical buttons or something like that, because that would be so much better. But hey, pros and cons. Now this multimedia system is exactly the same as what's in my car. So this is MBUX NTG7, and it's very, very easy to use. I again used it on the way here and for the past couple of days just to make sure nothing's changed. Of course, this does have a few extra elements in here like off-road functionality and various other things that are more suited to a GLS. But apart from that, it's exactly the same, and the multimedia system is one of the best out there. It's just so easy to use. Everything you need, for the most part, is literally just there, and of course, you swipe across, there's more things to have a look at as well. But yeah, if you're using the sat-nav, nice big screen here. I've not got my phone currently connected just for this demonstration, but yeah, sat-nav, where to, type in where you want to go, and it's just so easy to get going. Now I've actually got it muted at the moment, but you can unmute and mute literally there, and there's a finish button there as well. So again, sat-nav super easy. The where to, finish and mute are literally just always top left, so you can't miss it. So that's pretty good. And of course, if you're not a fan of using the inbuilt multimedia system, you can use Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is all wireless, which is pretty good as well. And there's plenty of ports to plug in as well, as you've seen. But yeah, what's pretty cool as well, there is a built-in dash cam. So up there you can enable dash cam, and if you plug in a memory stick like this, you can record straight to it, which is pretty cool. So you don't need to install any third-party things up here. It's all built in. It does require a manual start though, so it's a bit annoying in that front, but having it all built in is pretty cool. Now, as I mentioned, there are tablets in the back, as we saw, and this button is not normally on MBUX systems, but here allows you to share content from one screen to another. So guys, as I said, if you want me to cover the screens, let me know in the comment section down below, and I might make a video about it in the future. But yeah, you can play stuff on the main screen here, obviously when you're not driving, and then share it to the various different screens, all from the front, which is pretty cool. Very, very luxurious. And then lastly, because this is a GLS, if we go all the way to comfort, in here you can do all sorts of things with the seats. So yes, they're all electric. On this particular one, there's ventilated seats and heated seats, and I can even control this seat here as well. Massage seats, and not just, oh yeah, one massage. No, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different programs for massage, which is mad, and different intensities for both seats. Then there's different seat kinetics and lumbar adjustment and side bolsters. There's so many different things you can do on here and personalise this car to how you want it to be. And on top of that as well, there's even a voice assistant. And if I'm not mistaken, I think there's a voice assistant for each seat, which is pretty cool. Not for the third row, they don't get that. But yeah, you can talk to it. Hey Mercedes.
How can I help?
How are you doing today?
All the better for hearing your voice.
That's cheesy, but yeah, so there's a voice assistant. You can talk to it and ask it to do a variety of different things. So even if you don't use the inbuilt sat-nav, of course, then you have Siri and Google and that sort of thing, depending on your smartphone, of course. So with all of that aside, what is this like to drive? Let's take it for a spin. Alright guys, so let's take this for a spin. So as with all Mercedes-Benz, engine start-stop buttons down here, and then the gear stick is up over here. So this just goes down for drive, and yeah, away we go. Now the good thing is with Mercedes-Benz GLS is that it's so quiet in here. The noisiest thing is going to be the climate control, because I think today is going to be the hottest day of the year in the UK. It's going to touch like 30 degrees, which for us Brits is well, quite warm, especially for the UK. So, but yeah. Now of course I have been driving this car for a few days, and I have driven the Mercedes-Benz GLS before as well, and it is a very, very big car. We'll touch on more on the parking kind of thing in a minute because it's quite wide. But if you need the space, it's a really, really good car. Super luxurious. I would have liked the suspension to be just a little bit softer. It is still quite firm, but there again, you could look on that as a kind of pro that you can obviously feel the road, but considering this car's price, I would have liked the suspension to be just a little bit smoother, much like the Mercedes-Benz S-Class. But there again, that adjustment is of course needed and required if you're going to be doing any off-roading kind of stuff. So we've got a donkey going out in the road. This always happens every time I film in the in the New Forest. Oh dear. Right guys, well, since we're out on the open road, what engines are there available? Well, I kind of touched on it ever so slightly earlier when we was going through the trims and packages, but for example, this one I have right here is a GLS 450D. Now this one is a 3 litre, 367 horsepower, so it is no slouch. It can go pretty quick. After this, there's almost the exact same version, which is a GLS 450. This is a petrol version. 381 horsepower, again the 3 litre. Then if you want to go all out, there's a GLS 63, which makes it one of the fastest SUVs out there. Big 4 litre V8 crammed into that one. That one was 612 horsepower. Then of course there's the GLS Maybach, and that is 557 horsepower. So there's a bit of a selection there. There are no small engines for a GLS because you want a nice big engine to cope with the power delivery on something this big. And you do notice it, certainly on like the roads that I'm on like right now. These are quite narrow, yes, believe it or not. This is a two-way road, should I say, so cars do come the other way, and my wheels are virtually just on the left hand side and it's protruding over here, so it is a very, very wide car. So in the white lines of the car parking spaces, just something to be aware of. Other things I love that I haven't mentioned here are the soft closed doors, the head-up display, and of course this gorgeous panoramic sunroof with an integrated blind. Even things that you won't notice on a test drive unless it's cold in the winter, heated seats, pretty much standard stuff these days, but panel heating as well, so all these side panels and even a heated steering wheel as well. However, one thing that I wish was different is that there are different drive modes which allow you to raise or lower the car using a central switch. Annoyingly, to get to the lowest mode, instead of using this centralised button, you have to go into the touchscreen onto the quick access menu to access the lowest mode for getting in and out. Annoying, I know, but it's just something I picked up on. Apart from that, it is a beautiful car. It rides almost like Mercedes-Benz's top model, the S-Class, but I'd imagine the slightly firmer suspension is for off-road use. If I needed the space and wanted that level of luxury, my search would end here. Well guys, I think that concludes this week's video on the Mercedes-Benz GLS. However, before you go anywhere, if this is too much money, there is another car out there which might actually be fairly similar. Well, there's two. So have a look at this one. This is the Volkswagen Touareg, and then also underneath this is the Mercedes-Benz GLE. Maybe those might be a bit more suitable. They're not as big as this, but they might be a bit more suitable in terms of price and specification, that sort of thing. So have a look at those. But guys, thank you so much. Until next time, see you then.